Disclaimer: Chaz's sound test is for entertainment purposes only. I don't own any of the music and I have no intention of making a profit. All songs are owned by their respective composers. With that said, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the sound test. It's been a while. Welcome to the, I swear this is not a Halloween special episode, because it's not. It kinda is, but it really isn't. I came to the realization that I don't really play a lot of horror games. Not because I'm afraid of them, it's just, I've just never got heavy into that genre, so I'm gonna have some quote-unquote spooky songs at the end of the show, but for the most part, it's just going to be another normal episode. Like I said, I've been gauging a lot of viewer feedback, listener feedback really. And I noticed that you guys like a lot of the shorter episodes, non-20 track episodes, like the previous one. Even though episode 6 did really well, a lot of you guys like the fighting game themed episode. I really liked it too, because I like putting it together, and I liked all those songs that I put together for it, so. But it's just gonna be a normal sound test episode this week, so with some scary stuff, but not really. So let's get started on the list. Not to bring up fighting games again, but I'm going to. The first 2 songs on the playlist tonight, are more fighting game tracks that didn't make it until the previous episode, because I like the songs, but they don't really fit where they come from and who they're for. The first track I'm gonna play is Chun-Li's theme from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and it's a decent song. It's just that it sounds like a game show. It sounds like game show music. Same thing with the second track I'm gonna play is called Kurikinton, which I believe is a motor train or something like steam train or something like that in Japanese. It's Terry Bogard's main theme from all the, not all the Fatal Furies, but the majority of the Fatal Furies. That's his main theme. And to be honest, I hate that song. I don't hate it, but I'm immediately backtracking on what I said. I don't hate it, it just doesn't fit Terry Bogard. I don't feel like it fits a fighting game. Once again, it sounds like a game show. So the first 2 songs are fighting game songs that sounds like game show songs. So we're going to go with first Chun-Li's theme from Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and then Kurikinton, I'm not going to pronounce that. Terry Bogard's theme, specifically from Fatal Fury 2. A song that sounds like it came from a game show. Both of those two are coming up right now. what is that? Like, I like it. It's okay, but it's just like that doesn't fit a fighting game protagonist. I don't get the motivation behind what they thought that song was supposed to be. But I don't know. It's been in like at least it's been in over 10 games, so I mean I can't complain. It's too late to complain about it. You know what I mean? But it's just weird. It's a strange choice. But anyway, let's get next to the next subject. F-Zero. Started playing F-Zero again. Not like it was I'm like training for anything or like practicing. It's just like I was really good at the original SNES F-Zero. I got a SNES Classic. That's what I'm trying to get at. I really like the original F-Zero. Like one thing that sticks out about F-Zero is the music was always fantastic. It always stood out. It was always really well done. I never played F-Zero X. That was the N64 game. I never played that one. I think that game is rare now. Then F-Zero GX, that's the GameCube one, came out, and its subsequent, like, I guess, or upgrade from that was AX, which is basically the arcade equivalent of GX, but which is also produced by which also was one of the few early games that was developed by Nintendo and Sega simultaneously, which I thought was interesting. F-Zero GX, I have that game. I'm really bad at that game, but it's fun. I like the game a lot. And that game's soundtrack is phenomenal too. It has a really cool, like, it has the first couple of tracks are like arrangements of the original F-Zero, which I thought was awesome. Like Mute City and Big Blue and all those stages are back, of course, and with a cool, like, cyberpunk metal versions of them. They're all pretty cool. The original tracks, like the newer stages in the game, I have really like standout songs. Like the two I'm gonna play are probably the two of my favorites. There's a casino stage in the game, like a casino course called Casino Palace, and the song is called Shotgun Kiss. It's really, really, really cool, fast-paced song, and there's like at least there's like over 20 characters in that game, and that you can race as, and like they all have their own character themes. I don't know when they play, because it's been so long since I've actually played F-Zero GX that I don't remember off the top of my head. But I know that each character has a theme song, and Blood Falcon, which is the Akuma to Captain Falcon's Ryu, I guess. He's just like a evil, dark clone, typical archetype character. But his theme, Blood Falcon's theme, is amazing in that game. So you're going to hear those two tracks coming up next. We got Shotgun Kiss, which is the theme of the Casino Palace, and then you're followed by Blood Falcon's theme. Well done tracks from Hidenori, Shoji, and Daiki Kasho. I probably butchered their names, but well done, guys. And you're going to hear those two songs coming up right now. Dude, that song is the truth. Holy crap, that song is good. I'll go as far as to say that that's the best song on the entire OST. Period. Dot. Done. I mean that soundtrack is good, but that Blood Falcon song, come on, son. It's the best. Anyway, now it's time to get to the obligatory shill the new game that just came out segment. I'm playing Cuphead, which is a big indie game that made a huge splash a couple weeks ago. I'm still playing through the game. It's a retro style run and gun game, kind of like a la Metal Slug, Contra, Gunstar Heroes, that type of thing. But it's done in the style of a the animation is done in the style of an old 1930s cartoon, and it's aesthetically it's fantastic. Like I think honestly, not to be biased, but I feel like aesthetically that's probably the best thing Cuphead has going for it. Like that, one of the best things that has going for it. Because I feel like it felt like if it tried to do like a generic 8-bit or 16-bit retro style, it probably wouldn't stand out nearly as much as it does with this old school cartoon vibe it's trying to go for, which is it nails it. So I shouldn't even say it's trying it. It gets it in spades. Like it's great. And with that, the music captures that same essence where it has like this whole. It's not necessarily jazz, but it's more of a 1930s, 1940s swing type of vibe. And I'm still playing through the game, so I'm not gonna spoil too many of the tracks or too many of the boss fights or anything like that. But like, I had a hard time narrowing down what songs I wanted to play for the show, but I narrowed it down to two. The first track I'm gonna play is Sugarland Shimmy. That's a song that plays in one of the earlier boss fights where you fight there's this woman inside of a giant like candy castle. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. It's like a gingerbread castle that's sentient and alive and is trying to kill you. Like, another thing about the game is visually, along with the old 1930s cartoon vibe, if you didn't grow up with those cartoons, a lot of that stuff looks really creepy and unsettling. And I think that was intentional with the whole game too, but it works and it's freaky. But I really like the song that plays in that boss fight, and there's another boss fight called Carnival Kerfuffle. That's the name of the song. You're basically in a carnival in like you're literally fighting against the guy who's like a carny, and he's like riding around on a roller coaster, and then a merry-go-round eventually will appear, and it's visually, I can't really describe it, but I just know that it's really amazing, and I have a hard time describing it. But once again, I implore everyone to play that game if you haven't. If you have an Xbox One, which probably isn't much of you, probably in a lot, but or you have a PC, which I'm pretty sure more people are playing the PC version. Not to be biased against Xbox users, but you know, not a lot of people have Xboxes. Anyway, the game is only, I think it's $20. I definitely implore you to play it. Granted, it's one of those games that it's gonna kill you a lot if you're not very good at adapting to patterns very often. It's one of those type of games. Like I said, it's very much made in the wake of other run and gun games like Contra and Metal Slug, which are also relatively difficult games. So if you're not into that, then I probably wouldn't recommend it. But definitely check out the visuals on YouTube at least first before you decide to buy it. But it's fantastic, and the game was being developed, and it took about, I think, a decade for this game to actually come out, because it was in production for a really long time. And I know not for a fact, but I've read in a couple of places where like pretty much the developers put everything they had on the line in order for this game to succeed. Like they sold foreclosures on their houses and sold cars and all this other stuff. They put so much effort into making with the hope that this game was successful, and they nailed it, because recently the game sold over 1 million copies, or got 1 million downloads, because there's no physical version of the game, but it's a digital only. So, but yeah, it's definitely a work of art. It's definitely something to play. It's so you have to see it to believe it, and it's like I'd probably say it's one of my games of the year because it's I haven't even finished the game. I really enjoy it, despite me being on certain boss fights for more than an hour. But yeah, it's definitely worth a pickup, a download for sure. Kristofer Maddigan is the guy behind the soundtrack, and fantastic. I've say fantastic at least 5 times every episode. I'm sorry about that, but there's no other word I can think of to describe it. But you just have to check it out for sure. And I'm gonna play the 2 songs, Sugarland Shimmy and Carnival Kerfuffle, right now, right here. Let's go. phenomenal. Very, very good. I'm gonna need to actually get around to finishing that game. I'm like 82% complete the game. Last time I checked, which was like last night. I'm gonna finish that game before Mario Odyssey comes out in less than a week. It's kind of insane how close that game is, but that's completely besides the point. Let's get back to the next section. Let's talk about some weird SNES games, or just obscure SNES games. I bought a SNES Classic maybe 3 or 4, almost a month ago now, and I modded it, even though that's frowned upon by certain people. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna advertise where I found how to do that or how to do it. That's up to you. But what you can do when you do go through those various channels to figure out how to do it, you can add your own games to it, which is, I guess, more or less is illegal, blah, blah, blah. But I added some games onto mine, which should have been there in the first place. But one of the games that I don't think needed to be there, but I wanted it to be there, was Spider-Man and Venom Maximum Carnage, which is like, it's one of those side-scrolling beat-em-ups that I personally like, but I don't think anyone else does. I like that game a lot, but I think it's one of my favorite Spider-Man games, like, in general. But anyway, that game had really, really good music. Like, specifically the Super Nintendo version. I've never actually played the Genesis version. I've heard a couple tracks from the Genesis version. I don't think it stacks up to the SNES version. That might be my bias talking, because I'm a Super Nintendo kid at heart. I had a Genesis, but I played it primarily for Sonic and like Streets of Rage and Shinobi, and that was about it. I was a SNES kid through and through. But anyway, the Super Nintendo version of that game had really good music in it, because it was like, even in the beginning of the game when you turn it on, it advertises licensed music by Green Jelly. I've never even heard of that band before, but then again, I was like, I want to say 7 or 8 when the game came out, so I wouldn't have known anyway. But it like, you know, it just kind of advertised having an actual rock band compose music for the game, which at the time was kind of unheard of. So I thought that was pretty cool. And man, I like the music in the game a lot. Granted, there's only about maybe 5 or 6 songs in the whole game, but the main theme, I call it, like, not the main theme, but like one of the primary stage themes, which the track is called New York City, which was composed by Jojo for the Super Nintendo version. I really like that a lot. It's very metally. I can't even really describe it. I'm having trouble describing anything today, but the song itself is really cool. I like it a lot. And that's usually, to me, a lot of people, for a Spider-Man theme, they go with the Fox Kids TV, the cartoon Spider-Man from the 90s, that Saturday morning cartoon. That's the Spider-Man thing they think about. Or if you're a fighting game guy, you think about the Marvel Superheroes theme that gets played for Spider-Man and a lot of those Capcom games. To me, the Spider-Man theme is the New York City stage from Maximum Carnage. I immediately think about Spider-Man when I hear this song. That's the Spider-Man song to me. That's one of the 2 tracks coming up. Secondly is a song from a game that I've personally never played. I just know it exists. It's this weird platform that tried to bank on the success of Sonic, which everybody tried to do back in the 90s. But there's this weird platformer called Plok. I've never actually played Plok. I've only seen Plok. But I know of the soundtrack, because it was done by Tim Follin, who was an amazing composer back then. He did a lot. He did Spider-Man, X-Men Arcade's Revenge. And he did the Silver Surfer game. And he did a lot of LGN stuff, which is a shame. Which is such a shitty developer had a great composer on their ranks. But yeah, that's why I know about the second song coming up, which is just the beach stage from Plok. I only know about that because, like I said, Tim Follin and his brother Jeff were amazing composers for, like, the 8 and 16-bit eras. So you're gonna hear first the New York City stage, just the generic stage from Maximum Carnage by Chris Jojo, and then followed by Tim Follin's masterpiece from a game that no one played, Plok, on the Super Nintendo. One and done. Here we go. to think so much passion got put into a song for a game that no one played. It's just, I think that's like the fate of Tim Follin songs. It's just like they're gonna be put into these games that are like either really hard and then like no one will be able to hear the whole song because they'll just keep dying, or they'll be put into a song of a game that's not popular and it just won't get bought or heard at all. So they're just destined to like trail the depths of YouTube forever. It's sad, but man, that song is amazing. Tim Follin, is he still around? Do we know if he's still composing? I know if his brother Jeff like retired or something, but I need to find out. I need him to compose some music for my website or something. Like, someone needs to employ him. That man is talented. But anyway, next subject. Let's finally get into some scary stuff, quote unquote scary stuff. We're gonna start with some Castlevania music. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played a lot of Castlevania. I'm not the biggest super fan of that franchise. Like, I've played the NES trilogy. I played Super Castlevania 4. I played a little bit of Symphony of the Night, but that was a long time ago, so I don't remember anything about it. And I played the second Super Nintendo game, which was Castlevania Dracula X, which is two of the tracks I have in front of me, so I don't know why I had trouble remembering that. Anyway, Castlevania 4 was more of what you'd expect. You're still playing as Simon. It's a 16-bit Castlevania game, as opposed to in Dracula X you're playing as Richter, which I personally think Richter is cool. Well, I just like the way he dresses anyway. The blue and white is dope. Dracula X stuck out to me because the music was really good. Because like, then again, a lot of Konami games during that era had really good music. Like the 8 and 16-bit eras kicked ass for Konami as far as like their soundtracks are concerned. Especially the Super Nintendo had a lot of really good Konami music. Like Sunset Riders, I played that maybe a couple episodes ago. That game had a lot of good music in it. Turtles in Time, of course. Even some of the licensed stuff like I think there was a Batman Konami game that came out, and that had the Batman Returns beat 'em up had really good music. That Tiny Toon Adventures game had amazing music in it. Konami was killing it back then. That was back when they made video games. Remember that? But anyway, I chose a couple of songs from Dracula X specifically because I really like the soundtrack in Dracula X. We're gonna choose a couple of classic. Bloodlines, which is played in a lot of games, but specifically this version I like because there's this really cool bass guitar, like killing it at the first couple seconds. It's really cool. I like that. And Dance of Illusions, which is Dracula's theme in all of Castlevania. It's probably one of my favorite themes in all of Castlevania. Like one of my favorite reoccurring songs. It was done by a multitude of composers, all with Japanese names. I'm gonna try to pronounce them all one by one. Tomoya, Tomita, Masanari Iwata, Harumi Ueko, and Masahiro Kimura. That's the team, the Dracula X composition team right there. Pumping out these hits. I'm gonna play Bloodlines, which is the classic first stage in most Castlevanias. Someone's gonna correct me in the comments or whatever. I know that's probably not the case. But Bloodlines, aka Stage 1 in Dracula X, and then Dance of Illusion, which is Dracula's theme. Crack some whips, Castlevania, let's go. That makes me want to go back and actually play Castlevania X. Castlevania Dracula X. I keep forgetting that Dracula part, so I keep saying Castlevania X. I want to go play that now. I'm probably going to play that after I close all this out. That's a lie. I'm probably going to go play Fire Emblem Warriors, because I'm obsessed with that game right now. But anyway, more spooky things, or goth things. I'm going to go to the Capcom side of things as far as, like, the occult, as far as the music's concerned. Devil May Cry 3. Big surprise. One of my favorite games ever made. I'm going to play a song from it. Devils Never Cry, which is the theme song to that game, it resonates with me because I remember... I'm going to take you in the Wayback Machine real quick. I remember... back when game trailers still existed, I remember seeing the trailer, the E3, like, 2004 trailer for Devil May Cry 3 when it was coming out. I remember seeing a younger Dante doing sick combos with that song playing in the background. It said, like, coming summer 2005, and I flipped out. I was going nuts, because I remember that distinctly. I watched that trailer, like, probably 10 times a week. Like, I was so anticipating this game, and it did not disappoint. So, in the game, and that song is pretty much vindicative of that. So I think about that song whenever I think about that game, which is appropriate. Then the song itself has been remixed about dozens of times. I remember, like, in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there's a version of it which it's okay. It's not a bad arrangement. Then years later, the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has a version of it which is terrible. In fact, that whole game's soundtrack is kind of butt anyway, but doesn't hold a candle to the original. Devils Never Cry, composed by Tetsuya Shibata, written by Sean McPherson, performed by David Allen Baker, who I misread almost as David Allen Greer. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's not right. But anyway, that song's great. I love that song. And another song that I've thought about a lot as far as, like, Capcom and spookiness was the song that was associated with Darkstalkers, called The Trouble Man, composed by Akichi Yamazawa. I thought the first time I heard this song was during that I don't even want to think about this crappy cartoon, but it was that awful Saturday morning Darkstalkers cartoon that came on, like, at 5 a.m., 5:30, almost 6 in the morning. What I didn't know about this song was it wasn't originally used for that. It was originally used for it was used for the very first Japanese commercial for the home console port of Darkstalkers, the original Darkstalkers, like Darkstalkers 1. I also didn't know that it was for the Japanese OVA as well, which I bought from Otakon recently. And I had no idea, because I remember seeing the OVA when I was younger too, but I just don't remember I don't remember a lot about it. I need to rewatch it. But apparently that was the ending credit song. But I knew it personally from that abysmal Saturday morning cartoon. And I'm not even trying to be biased, but it legitimately just wasn't very good. But then again, a lot of those cartoons based on games, like, done by that one company. I need to figure out what the name of that company was, but they did a Street Fighter cartoon, but it wasn't great. They did Wing Commander, and there were, like, a couple other cartoons that were based off of games. They all were just kind of mediocre to trash. With that said, let's listen to those two songs now. Let's listen to Devils Never Cry, the iconic Devil May Cry 3 song, which later I more or less became the Devil May Cry song, period, now. And The Trouble Man, which was the Darkstalkers theme from the anime OVA and the commercial for the first game.
Watch the footsteps that never follow. If you want to live tomorrow, steal a soul for a second chance. The devil's cry.
It's getting out of hand. Gonna be trouble, but baby, I'm the man. I'm gonna save you. I'll be your knight. I'll be your savior. Have fun tonight, yeah. Gonna be trouble, baby, I'm a trouble man. Wanna find a come on. You understand? I give it double, baby, I'm the trouble man. Baby, don't you worry, not gonna run away. I can't, baby, don't you worry, yeah man, I'm here to play. Don't mess around, just come and get me. You're what this town, yeah. Gonna be trouble, baby, I'm a trouble man. Wanna find a come on, don't you understand? I give you double, baby, I'm the trouble man. Don't you cry, I will dry all your tears. We'll be alright, all my love. Don't you cry, I will love you, never leave you, leave you alone, yeah. Trouble, it's getting out of hand. Gonna be trouble, yeah baby, I'm the man. Wanna rumble, how about tonight? They want a war, just let me try, yeah. Gonna be trouble, baby, I'm a trouble man. Wanna find a come on, don't you understand? I give you double, baby, I'm the trouble man. Baby, I'm a trouble man.
One thing I can say about Capcom during those their eras was that their songs were so reflective of those eras. Like, Devils Never Cry is such an early 2000s song. It sounds like it. Like, it just sounds like a Marilyn Manson song or something. And then the Darkstalker song is the most 90s thing I've ever heard. Like, it's just, oh man. There was no doubt that song was written in like 1992 or 3 or whatever, whenever the Darkstalkers came out. I think it was 94, but yeah, man. And so we're getting up to the tail end of the show now, so we'll play the last 2 tracks. They're from another game I've never actually played, but I'd like to. Silent Hill 3, specifically. I never played any Silent Hill game, but I'd like to, like, the one I would probably be the most intrigued to play was 3. A lot of people say that the best Silent Hill game is either 2 or 3. I've heard a lot of that. Specifically, I'd like to play 3, because I've read up on 3, and it seems really interesting and creepy, and like just something I would probably be into. As far as the game itself is concerned, I've heard a lot of the music from Silent Hill 3. I really like the soundtrack. What's the composer's name? Akira Yamaoka really killed in a lot of those tracks. Like, a lot of atmospheric, creepy, weird, like, experimental stuff. I like it a lot. Like, End of Small Sanctuary is one of the last 2 tracks I'm gonna play. I really like that song a lot. It's not particularly scary, but if you take into account the story, which you should read up on. I'm not gonna talk about the whole thing. And You're Not Here, which is the opening song, composed by Akira Yamaoka, and it's performed by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who is a popular anime voice actress. You may know her as Makoto Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, and dozens of other voices. She was Julia in Cowboy Bebop as well, I think. And those 2 songs are really good, and they're probably the only songs I can think of that stood out to me from that game anyway. I'm gonna play them right now. Don't have a lot to talk about Silent Hill 3, like I said, because I didn't play it, so sorry. But let's play those tracks now. They're both really good. It's a great song. I feel like that song wouldn't pop nearly as much if Mary Elizabeth McGlynn wasn't singing it. But like, yeah, that's a legit song. I like it a lot. Anyway, that's the end of the show. As usual, check me here at twitch.tv/Chazmosis, CHAZMOSIS. Every Sunday around between 7 8 o'clock, I'll be doing something, usually. Next week, Mark and I will probably be playing Switch games, specifically Mario Odyssey and Fire Emblem Warriors, because they're brand new, and they're the reason I'll be playing Switch again, because my Switch has been collecting some serious dust up until that point. He had been playing it a lot, but not me. What else? Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Chazmosis410. As usual, check out the YouTube, youtube.com/CJBLOGMAN, Blogman, CJ Blogman. Of course, the main site, otakugamerspot.com, where this podcast and all the Let's Plays and everything else we do is on there. You can go to the SoundCloud for specifically this podcast, soundcloud.com/Chazmosis410. And what else? Oh yeah, please, I'm on iTunes as well. So if you'd be so kind as to give me a rating, like if you love the show, if you like it, give me a 5. If you hate it, think the show sucks, why does he talk so fast? Give me a 0. I don't get 1 or 0. As long as I get some sort of rating, so I can get attract more people to the show. Anything is fine. Any type of exposure, good or bad, it doesn't really matter. So, anyway, I appreciate it. Thank you for downloading it. Thank you for listening to it. Thank you for streaming it. Thank you for doing whatever with this show. I'm going to head out now, but before I go, I'm going to play the greatest Halloween song in all of video games. Fight me for it. I don't care. No debating. Pumpkin Soup, aka the Pumpkin Hills track from Sonic Adventure 2 is the best. You can't beat it. It's a ghost pumpkin soup. That's what it's called. Anyway, Junsuno Hunted P Pumpkin Hill track. The best Halloween song in video games. Don't argue with me because you know I'm right. Get out of here. I'm out.
You know me, the fighting freak Knuckles, and we're at Pumpkin Hill. You ready? I ain't gon' let it get to me, I'm just gon' creep down in Pumpkin Hill. I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkin in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back them up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying you a chicken, don't be scared. It had to be the wind, cause nobody wasn't there. I searched and I searched as I climbed up the wall. And then I started to fly, I went in deeper. Let it get to me, I'm just gon' creep down Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. A ghost try to approach me, he got leery. Just gon' creep down in Pumpkin Hill, I got to find my lost piece. I know that it's here, I can sense it in my feet. The great emerald's power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I'm gonna hold my head, cause I have no fear. This probably seems crazy, a graveyard theory. Our ghosts try to approach me and got leery. Ask him a question and he vanished in a second. I'm walking through valleys, crying pumpkin in the alley. Didn't seem happy, but they sure tried to get me. Had to back them up with a fist metal crackle. I'm hearing someone saying you a chicken, don't be scared. power allows me to feel. I can't see a thing, but it's around somewhere. I gotta hold my head, I have no fear. It probably seems crazy, a graveyard